What's up, guys? Welcome back to another edition of looking at a game that I've been playing on stream for about a month now. Minion Masters, I absolutely love it. It's a great deck building game. Very quick matches. You can get in, get out, be on your way, and it's got a really cool integration with Twitch too to get you some cool points and such. But they just released, it's about a week ago, a new master or a champion or whatever you want to call them. I believe they're masters in this, hence Minion Master. And she has kind of taken the game by storm here, and that is Morellia. Morellia, the Lich Queen, ruler of the Cursed Lands, Queen of the Souls, and Dragon Binder, wielding the Book of the Dead, which is hilarious. During the games, the book actually talks back at her. It's quite funny. She can call upon the host of powerful death magic to decimate her foes. However, the ancient soul trapped within the book is forever plotting its release, which is actually quite funny. But Morellia comes with a very interesting kit. It's a very supportive kit that really can change how you build different decks with her, the different styles of play with her, and really interesting play in team matches. So her tier 1, Book of the Dead. There's a lot of reading here. I'll try to hit the highlights here. What this does is it adds a one-use card, Book of the Dead, to the top of Morellia's deck every 25 seconds. So you'll be playing, and every 25 seconds you'll see whatever card is next is going to be replaced with Book of the Dead. When you cast Book of the Dead is a 0 mana cost card. When you cast it, it gives you a option of five, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, 4. 4 0 cost options. So it replaces your entire hand with 4 new spells that are all 0 cost. You can only choose one of them. Once you choose one, the rest will basically get discarded and you won't get them back until your next Book of the Dead. So your 4 options at tier 1 is summon 4 skeletons, give a random friendly minion spirit, or drain 100 health from the closest enemy minion, transferring it to Morellia. So a really cool way to heal. And then also you have Forbidden Knowledge. 2 of Morellia's 4+ mana spells cost 1 less until played, does not stack. So we can see multiple things here, right? So we can put this in and use the Book of the Dead as kind of a little minions to kind of swarm some of the larger minions like Statue, and give us just a little minion push, or maybe we need to defend one of our characters, and just send in a whole bunch of little skeletons. So we get 4 here, so that's really nice. Spirit is an absolutely outstanding card. I've got a couple decks that utilize the spirit mechanic, which permanently increases the hit points of a minion by 200. So beautiful card there. Beautiful option at 0 mana there. Drain Life is an excellent way to heal yourself throughout the game to try to keep yourself above your opponent. 100 health to the closest enemy. Now, a lot of spells from Masters only take into account, aside from Setsu's drop in, only take into account really your side of the battlefield. There's a couple spells that allow you to kind of place things around, but Drain Life, it's the closest enemy on the battlefield. So therefore, if the only minions are on the enemy's side, it's still going to target them. It's still going to do 100 health. And 100 health actually will kill quite a few minions in here. And again, gives you that nice little bump to your health. Finally, Forbidden Knowledge. If you like to cast spells, this is excellent. It really reduces the cost of your high cost spells. Things like Zen Chi with the very high cost that randomly throws 3 Zen Chi cards into your deck and reduces their mana. This is a really awesome spell here if you can hold off and not cast that spell until after tier 1. So that's her tier 1 ability. Tier 2 just upgrades that ability. So now Skeletons now does 8 skeletons instead of the 4. Spirit becomes the actual main spirit card of the game. 3 random friendly minions gain spirit. So awesome upgrade there. Drain 100 health from 2 closest enemies. So again, healing yourself quite consistently. Taking control of that battlefield, knocking off some of those low-cost minions that get by. 2 of Morellia's 4+ mana spells cost 2 less. So definitely a variety of different options you have with her, with the Tier 1 and Tier 2 ability. If you want to do a spells deck, if you want to do a rush deck with a whole bunch of little dudes, if you want to do mid to bigger guys with spirit or little dudes with spirit, or just keeping yourself alive, Morellia has a toolbox that gives you all of these options. Now, if you saw my last Minion Masters video, we were very critical about a big card from this season, and that's Navir, the big Queen Dragon. And I showed you multiple playthroughs where basically she did not affect the battlefield at all. It's impressive to see her land. It's impressive to watch what she does. But in general, because of the accursed essence buildup that you have to do, and because of how much mana she costs at 10, it's really not a big game changer at the current moment. I definitely see them doing some sort of rework with her, but in the short term, we get Morellia's 3rd tier. And that is Queen's Dragon. At a 1-use, you can only cast this once. Once you use it, you never get this card back. At a 1-use card, Queen's Dragon to Morellia's deck summons Navir the Fallen, who breathes Spitfire on the battlefield before she lands. It has 2,200 hit points, so it is the highest hit point card in the game. It even beats Brutus, the big Brutus. It does 400 damage. DPS is 50. The Spitfire is basically the dragon's breath from this season. So it breathes fire across the battlefield, which lingers for a while. Navir drops into it and starts to massacre. Now, this is a 6-cost card. So you take the normal Navir cost of 10, you've reduced it to 6, but you only get to play it once. And what I can tell you is this has actually made Navir somewhat impactful on boards. That 6 mana cost allows you to quickly follow up with something, or do kind of a wombo combo with dropping her in with another with a 4-cost minion, or a couple 2-cost minions to kind of protect her. You could drop her in with a priest behind her. Definitely lots and lots of options there that you have now with Navir only costing 6. But you're going to want to protect her because, again, she only has 2,200 hit points, and that means she can be killed. Stun Lancers can cause her issues. If you're not very careful, someone can take her with the Ghost ability, but definitely gives the ability for Navir to impact the battlefield now instead of what she used to do, which was basically look cool and really not impact the battlefield a lot. This has definitely caused, in my opinion, some major issues, however, in team-based games, especially pre-made team-based games. You're running against a lot of double Morellia combos, which means what I've been calling on my stream, we have to watch out for the double dragon. If their team hits tier 3, you're probably going to get a dragon per lane, and then sometimes a triple dragon, because one of the Morellias may be running an essence deck, which means they've pumped up their essence to 20, and at tier 3, 2 dragons, 1 per lane, and potentially a 3rd dragon with the addition of the normal Navir card. So that 3 dragons is a lot to deal with. That is 6,600 hit points that you have to now manage and handle on the battlefield. Again, I don't think an Essence deck is still viable in normal ladder. I haven't seen any of the top ladder decks running an Essence build with Navir, but definitely a lot of Morellias in the top leader brackets because of this tier 3. Not to mention, if you've got her out and you do Spirit, there's a good chance you're going to Spirit her and take her up to 2,400 hit points, which makes her very difficult to kill. So definitely a great new champion. I strongly suggest anyone who likes this game, who's interested in a really cool deck builder that integrates with streamers, Oops, I hit enter, which means we get to see the nice toxic chat over here. That's always toxic. But definitely a cool character. I've got a couple videos here that I'm going to follow up with, just of a couple matches that I've played her, and you can kind of see how I've been using her in the decks I've been playing with her in. So I hope you enjoy that. Folks, if you enjoy the content here with Minion Masters, please do drop me a comment. Please do drop a like and consider subscribing. We're very close to being able to, actually get a URL at the top. So please do consider subscribing. If you would like to see more content like this, let me know. Also, if you would like to support the channel, please do in the description box below. There is a link to the Patreon. If you subscribe via Patreon, you've got some custom perks that you get there, and it really helps the channel keep going. You can also check me out live playing Minion Masters every Tuesday through Thursday, starting at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on twitch.tv/Davram TV. Now, let's get over to the gameplay, and you can see Morellia at work. Showtime! All right, guys, here we go. You can see here my partner is playing Melloween, which is, of course, Morellia's sister in the lore. And you'll notice that I've got a basic deck that you could use in the ladder here. We've got Priest, we've got the shielded swordswoman, we've got Scrat Horde, we've got shielded crossbowman, we've got Spirit Mancer. And so we're really just going to, the goal here on how my side, as far as my deck plays, my deck is a very much an answer overload you style deck. So my goal here is first to answer their first few plays and then turn the tides with the game utilizing Spirit. So you can also see we have the Moon card, which allows us to drop everyone's hit points in half and summon 2 werewolves. You'll notice now in my spot 1 that I have that Book of the Dead ability. You see that all my spells got replaced. I use Spirit so we can start pumping things. I utilize Spirit a lot with this build. And the reason I do that is I personally find that Spirit is a very, very powerful ability to give you advantage in this. You'll also notice that I run 2 Spirit Mancers, which comes in huge in a lot of games. You get the 2 Spirit Mancers behind a tank, and you just start pumping all of your dudes. So we just pumped our partner's, I call him the Arcane Crab. We just pumped him, and that's how we got it. Now, we hit Spirit again because we've got some minions on the board that could use some Spirit. And yes, even the Puffs deserve a little Spirit. And I say that because sometimes you can get a Puff Spirited, and it takes 2, 3 hits sometimes to kill them. And they can really impact the board. So the Mana Puffs are actually belonging to my partner. And now that we have one Spirited, we can actually keep it alive for a little while. And that's going to be very effective. Now, they have a very swarmy deck, as we can see, and I'm going to utilize, which you just saw right there, I utilize the Health Steal to take out those little scrats in the front and heal us quite a bit there for 200 hit points since we are now at Tier 2. We have now done what I was talking about in the very beginning, and we've pushed through. We've got our Spirit Mancer in here who is just buffing our team as much as it can until it dies, but ultimately doing some great work there. Here comes the Moon, which I absolutely love werewolves. We follow that up with a Spirit to double Spirit the werewolves. Unfortunately, my partner just did the Mana Puff Madness, which means instead of buffing both of our werewolves, or instead of buffing our Arcane Crab, we did get 2 puffs with the Spirit. But that's, again, not so bad when we've got a couple creatures coming down on us. And as you can see, that Puff in the bottom withstood a couple hits, especially with the Priest backup. So now we've moved on again. Here we go with some Spirit again. We've got some guys on the battlefield to try to save it. We hit the Succubus with 1. Unfortunately, our Spirit Lancer died before that could hit him. But our Succubus has now got some Spirit. We've got some Scrats with some Spirit down there. And we're, again, making that push into their base with a Spirit Mancer backup, which means our guys are now getting bigger and stronger and beautiful. We're closing in on that Tier 3 as well, as you can see at the top. We're about 75% through, and climbing based on what we have. You can see the power of Spirit in the bottom down there with that Spirit Mancer that just died. He went toe-to-toe with Scotty for a while, which is actually quite difficult considering Scotty can pretty much take on Brutus single-handedly. So, pretty good to see the Spirit Mancer do that because, again, the amount that he can do. Now, we've got some Spirited Puffs down through here, and, well, except Colossus just, is taking a couple swings. You can see on our friend's side, our partner's side, they're gaining mana pretty quickly with that until all their puffs died. And now we've hit tier 3, and you can see in my 4th slot, we have Navir at 6 mana sitting there ready to go. So that's going to be a thing. Again, it might not impact the battlefield too much because we are swarming them. However, she's here, and she's going to get casted. Much better than sitting there and having to waste the mana. Now, since we had been using Spirit Mancers, we were collecting Essence. We were only at 15 when we summoned her, but if for some reason this game went a little bit longer, we could have been at 20 Essence, and then when the breath comes down, we would be resurrecting skeletons just like the normal breath. So it's a wombo combo. Normally it's a 10 cost to get Navir, and also to get the breath is an additional 6 cost, I believe. We get them both for a 6 cost with her tier 3, so definitely an excellent utilization of 2 cards pre-existing and making them relevant with 1 shot. Alright, so in the first replay, we took a look at how Morellia does in combat as far as a partnered matches. Now I'm going to show you how she does in solo matches with a Werewolf Essence style decks. Now, if you notice, we do have the normal 10 cost Navir in this deck. This was early when she was just recently released, and I thought, hey, maybe she's actually going to make Essence viable. I have since changed my mind, and I still don't think the 10 cost Navir is viable to run in a deck. However, it is still kind of fun. And with the lead up to Navir, the AoE nuke that you get into your hand, it's actually not too bad to wipe out a couple annoying minions, so it's not too bad. So as you can see, we still have the double Spirit Mancer. We're going to still be running a lot of Spirit off of her Book of the Dead. Just because, as you can see right there, we've got a skeleton doing beats on their base, and now he's spirited, so he's going to get a couple more beats in that we normally wouldn't get. Another thing we didn't talk about in the first match or during her highlight, we did not talk about how her ability works, her attack. She can hit air, she can hit ground. It's a constant beam of slow damage, but it slows creatures down, which is really big in the meta right now when we're running into a lot of ladder climb decks that utilize Cleaver and that utilize the Rammer, which are very fast-moving creatures. You can use her to slow them down so you can get them killed before they reach the base. It's an excellent thing. And against Scrats, the little Scrats, which we're obviously playing a Scrat deck based on what we're seeing here, it's definitely good. It kind of just kills through all of the little Scrats pretty quickly. Now, they are able to get the Scrat tank and such in, but we were able to pretty quickly knock out the little army. But unfortunately, we did take some damage there with the Scrat tank. It happens. Right now, it's not looking too good for us, but I'll show you as we go through here with the Spirit. We've got 3 creatures with Spirit now. Only the Werewolf doesn't have Spirit. And as you can see, we just kind of took over that battlefield pretty quickly after that initial push by them with all the Scrats. And now we're starting to catch up again with them now lower hit points than us. Now, one thing I did test in this deck that has really nothing to do with her was I was trying to use Jolo in a Werewolf's deck because of his dodging. He can sit there, do a good bit of damage, and then have the ability to turn into a Werewolf, which I personally think is quite good. We've already hit 20 Essence, so our Bell is now activated, which I think is one of the better cards in the Essence library. But we did just activate to get our first Navir cycling through our deck. It is the 10 mana cost Navir. We haven't hit tier 3 yet. We're only about halfway through our last bubble for tier 3. So we'll see how that impacts this game to see if both dragons or just one dragon, how that kind of impacts the board. We can see the very first, the 10 mana cost Navir is now on our table, and we can utilize that. But against a very aggressive Scrat deck here, it's challenging to get that 10 mana and not allow them to still take over the board. So I'm right now trying to come up with a plan to get that big dragon onto the battlefield without getting overrun by all the dudes he has. But like I said, the spirit is really working here for me, keeping my dudes buffed, especially my little spirit mancers there. Now we got double spirit mancer in the bottom, and they are hanging in there until I can get this 10 mana. I elected to go with the bell again because they went with the hard attack up top. So I figured I would ring the bell, get some skeletons spawning, and get in there to put some pressure on them to hopefully lessen the pressure on my side. Again, I thought it was a good idea to put Jolo in this deck in order to maybe werewolf him because of the shield. He can do damage and then that fun stuff. It wasn't a great idea. We've now hit tier 3, and you can see both Navirs are in my hand. This is going to be an opening where I can cast the first Navir, which is the hero power, Morellia's hero power, and now I can start to save mana while he's dealing with that in order to summon the 10 cost Navir seasonal card, which we're doing right now, which we'll cast in the bottom lane, and now we've got 2 dragons walking in. Now, another thing I've thought about, which I don't have this card currently, is getting a hold of the Spawn of Fury, which is a card that was just recently released, to maybe split the dragons and see how that works. I'm not quite sure how it works. We did do Spirit, so one of our dragons is Spirited. He is going to lose, but one thing to call out, Spirit is awesome, but another thing to call out, Navir cannot be polymorphed. So if your opponent sends in a Wizard Puff to try to polymorph your Navir, don't worry. At this time, Navir is the only card that is immune to polymorph. So don't worry yourself at all. Don't worry yourself at all with having to get Navir polymorphed. I personally think that needs changed. But then again, as I've said, the 10 mana cost Navir is still a card that you probably shouldn't have in your deck. I don't think that particular card made a difference in that last matchup. I think the one Navir would have been fine with the rest of the stuff. It was pretty much for style points, but again, I don't think that second Navir really did anything except use up 10 mana that I could have used elsewhere with another Spirit Mancer or something like that to continually buff the other creatures on my board, but it does look cool, and there's really cool style points there. But overall, I think she is very powerful. I don't necessarily know if we'll get any sort of tweaks to her or nerfs to her anytime soon. She is definitely, if we look at the leaderboards, she is definitely a character that you're seeing her quite a bit in the board. As far as the top 10s, top 20 decks, she's in there quite a bit. And anytime you see something in card games start to take over the format, sometimes we can expect some sort of changes. I personally think she's okay as she is. Obviously, having a 6 mana dragon with the burn, I think is a little maybe overdoing it, especially if you can combine together 20 essence with her to get the skeletal resurrection. I think maybe if they make any changes to that, keep it 6 mana, remove the breath, or make it so it doesn't resurrect skeletons. I'm not quite sure which I would prefer, because obviously you don't want the dragon to die immediately, as that feels really, really, really bad if you get to tier 3 and you don't really even get to use tier 3 on her. So I wouldn't want to see it die incredibly quick. Like, I like the burn, but maybe just take off the skeletal resurrection on it. I don't know. I will let the masters of this game, the devs, make that decision. But ultimately, I think she's a really great champion. I really like her because of the support aspect she has with the skeletons, with the spirit, with the heal. I think she's excellent. And then top that off with a 6 mana cost card, which summons a 10 mana cost card with the 6 mana cost breath right back to back. So that's pretty cool. I mean, where's the wrongness there? Anyways, guys, thank you for checking this out. Leave me a comment. Ask me, drop some deck ideas for me if you would like me to try out one of your decks in a video and let you know what I like about it, maybe some changes I suggest. I have changed since the last time that we did a deck tech for Grandmaster running. I have been running this deck at the top of your screen, which is a little bit different than I was running before, but it feels pretty good. It is a 4.1 mana cost or mana average, which is a little high in my opinion. There's definitely some tweaking needing to be done, but the combo between the Void spawn creatures, especially with Rammer getting in there, activating Rage, which rages all the creatures on the battlefield. Definitely a cool little combo you've got in there. With the Spirit from the Spiritmancer and her, you can definitely make some pretty powerful plays. So guys, take care of yourselves and each other. We'll see you in the arena next time on Minion Masters.